remain standing and remember all our folks in the armed services, our emergency services folks too, and any local residents that may have passed. Thank you. So, welcome. Sorry. I'll project. Welcome tonight, folks, to the workshop meeting for the village board. Normally we don't have public comment, but tonight we're going to have all the public comment that you guys want to have. So we have a presentation from the school about the upcoming school vote, which is tomorrow, and the school budget. And then after that, we're going to do our meeting. It should go relatively quickly, and then we'll have the presentation from the BES ideas and what they actually do. And then we'll take some questions after that presentation. Try to stick to 3 minutes if we can, and either we'll do some question and answers with the folks that are here, or if we need to get back to, we will. Okay? Everybody okay with that? All right. Mr. McElduff from the school. Do you want to hold him on? Yeah.
Mike, check. All right, there it goes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike McElduff. I'm the superintendent of schools. It's my 4th year as superintendent of the district. My 10th year in the district. I ran the Fort Montgomery Elementary School for a few years, Highland Falls Intermediate School. I was also the assistant superintendent, now the superintendent. So I now have the fortune of congratulating and shaking our seniors' hands. I also got to do that when they were in 8th grade. And also when they came up in 5th grade and now 2nd grade. So I've been here for many years, and I love this community. So tonight we're going to just go through some high level on the school budget. So the proposed 26-27 school budget, which our budget vote is tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Highland Falls Intermediate School. So if you're an eligible voter, I'd love to have you come out and vote on that budget. So our budget this year reflects a careful balance between maintaining strong centered academic programs, supports extracurricular opportunities, transportation, and essential operations while respecting the financial realities of our taxpayers and the district. So even with rising costs, difficult reductions, inflationary pressures, and uncertainty around federal funding, the district remains committed to sustaining excellence and prioritizing opportunities for our students. So our proposed budget for the 26-27 school year is $41,489,472. That is a budget-to-budget increase of $726,000, or roughly 1.78% from last year's budget to this year's budget, which is a full percentage point under inflation. So we did work extremely hard to keep that down as low as possible. For our taxpayers, the tax levy increase will be 2.03%. So on a household of $300,000, that would be roughly $11.62 a month. Obviously, we know some houses are lower than that, and some are obviously higher, but that is the ballpark number for a $300,000 home, $11.62 a month. So what are we increasing? Our general increases are contracts, whether it's paying our employees, our transportation, and our vendors to support the school district. Our health insurance premiums are also on the rise. We've been able to keep them relatively low at 2 and 3% for the past few years. But the 26-27 school year will be 7% for our health care plan for our employees. Besides our contracts, generally inflation costs are increasing. They're increasing at the pump when we're at there. They also are electric, our gas, food services, everything continues to increase in our space as well. So we're all feeling that pinch as well as the school district. And then general maintenance and operation costs, we have increased as well. So to balance our budget and reduce the tax levy for our taxpayers, we will be applying $950,000 of fund balance to balance our budget for the 26-27 school year. Again, trying to keep our taxpayers in mind and keeping it down as low as possible. We all know that we can only tax 7% of our land, and that is a burden that you all face, and so again, we try to be fiscally responsible with that. The last piece that I'll speak on is a contingency budget. So that means if the budget does not pass tomorrow evening, districts in New York State have 2 options. They can go to a revote, But typically when districts go to a revote, it's because the community is saying, we don't like X, Y, and Z, and so districts are going to be cutting costs in hopes to pass a budget. To be very transparent, our district did make some cuts for next year. We reduced our staffing, whether it was through retirement, resignation, and we did have to cut a few positions. So there isn't too much left to cut on our district budget. So we would go into a contingency budget, which means by New York State law, we would not be allowed to increase taxes to that 2.03%. It would be flat at zero, and we would have to take $241,000 out of our budget. So where would that money come from if we went to a contingency budget? Again, it would be staffing, it would be reductions in our maintenance. We would also look to cut a deputy sheriff who we have on the grounds at our schools. And then the other piece that I just want to mention is that by law, we would also have to charge to use our fields and our facilities. So for example, like the rec department, which we have a great partnership with them, they use our facilities for free, but by law, we would actually have to charge them, which would then be a cost on the taxpayers. So again, we're trying not to go to contingency budget. The budget vote is tomorrow at the Highland Falls Intermediate School from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. All eligible voters, we hope that you come out and vote on the budget, and that is the information I have for you, Mayor. Board, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time, and if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Sure.
And a couple of things, I just want to get a couple of things. I know it's taken time, I'm sorry. But one thing is that I want the taxpayers to understand for the transportation, we get back around 76% of the cost of our transportation from the state. So we are reimbursed for 76% of the cost of our transportation. We know the costs are high, but we do get reimbursed for 76% of that. That's something that we need to make sure we do. And the other thing is, on the $300,000 house, it's the assessed value. So it's your assessed value. So we know our assessed values are considerably less than the real value of our homes in some cases. So just keep that in mind. If you looked at your tax bills, look at what your assessed value is. So on a $300,000 house, it's $11 a month. So if it's a little less or a little more, you can figure it out from there. And I know some people were concerned about the actual formula, but I will tell you in the past couple of years, it's pretty much been spot on when the tax bills come out. I went back and looked at mine. So I just wanted to mention those couple of things. Thank you for letting me do that.
No.
Oh,
If any members of the public have a question, just come up to the podium so we all can hear. That way it's easier. Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm sorry to look such a mess.
No, you're
In the
fine.
middle of weed whacking, collecting garbage. You know, you guys look so nice, I don't want to say what I have to say. And my dad always used to say to us, what do you think, money grows on trees? I came home tonight, I had a letter from my mortgage company that because of the taxes of the school, my mortgage shortage, I have a mortgage shortage. I have to pay $389 and then another $38 for 12 months. And yes, I sometimes think that they're bullshit, and dishonest, but the bottom line is, if you had a chance to go back to the drawing board and lower it more, I would say do it. Otherwise, you put me in no position except to say, I can't vote yes for you. And it's not that I don't want education. I have 3 degrees and other education. I just can't, we can't afford it. It's like ridiculous. I don't want to be rude. That's all I can say.
thank you.
I just have one quick question, because I'm not sure I haven't followed quickly. But when do you know when you get the impact aid from the federal government?
So this year we did get it. We did get the impact aid. We typically get it between February and April.
Okay.
Even with the government shutdown, they were able to, once they opened back up, process all the impact aid districts throughout the country. So we got our money on time. But maybe a few weeks later, but we got it.
I was just wondering, because we really haven't had a lot of communication as far as the impact aid coming in. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Annie Scott, Fort Montgomery. All right, so, Ann, you said 86% of our,
77.
I'm sorry, 76% of our $3.7 million transportation budget is you're reimbursed for?
It returns, so transportation is what they call an expense-based aid. So part of whatever your expenditure is, you get depends on the ratio, every school district is a different ratio based on just the community itself. So for our district, for every dollar in transportation we spend, we get 76 cents back the following year for aid.
Okay,
And
where is that reflected in your line items on the budget?
So the line item budget that is required by law to be shown to is the expenditure side. The revenue side is where you'll have the aid come in, but that's all in the sort of state aid line. It all comes in as part of one sort of larger state aid piece from Albany.
I mean, I realize that there are a lot of state restrictions that you guys have to follow, but you're a really tiny little school district. One thing, the budget you presented was a PowerPoint until May 7th, when I spoke to you on the phone, and it went to the detailed list that you could see line by line items of what the costs were. Why isn't that mailed home with every student? We mail home all kinds of repetitive nonsense all year long. My grandkids are in school. Why wouldn't you mail that home? Line by line. I've spoken to, I can't tell you, countless people over the last month that have said to me, what do you mean we have a $41.5 million budget? Why do it? Okay, so, and then, you know, we talked about Connect program and they dangled the carrot to the community by saying, zoning doesn't change, we'll do this. You guys did the exact same thing. I know it's state mandated, but to talk about charging anyone in this community to use facilities is absurd. You have currently, before this budget, you have $7.2 million of taxpayer money in your reserve fund. You budgeted for 5.8 last year, but it was actually 7.2 million.
Annie,
I'm sorry, let me finish, Ann.
but you're saying misinformation.
I'm not,
and
it's not
it's-
this is coming directly off of your budget, So my question again, we outsource 120 children in our school district, correct? What is the total number of students in our school district? Total.
Total number, so it would be between 950 and 975, somewhere in that range, fluctuates.
No one has the number. All you people make good money. You don't have a concrete number of the number of students in our school district? And then minus 120 that we outsource. And so I've excluded BOCES, Goshen, don't look at me, I've been doing my homework. I excluded BOCES. There are still 22 schools that we pay transportation and tuition to. I need to know a breakdown. You told me 50 of those are special needs children, correct? We have 18 special education teachers in our school district.
Yes.
Last year I asked you, why don't we educate special needs children here
We do.
collectively? No, I'm talking about the 50, outside of the 50 that go out. Why?
So
You
I
told
want
me
you
that- you
to, I
told-
want to be able
excuse
to
me, let
answer
me
all
finish.
I want to be able to answer all your
No, let me
questions.
finish. I want to finish, then you can answer whatever you want. When I asked you last year what the reason was why we had to outsource any of the kids, to be honest, you told me room, correct?
It's room, it's also
Room.
resources. Yes.
Okay. We have a building on Mountain Avenue that is 15 years, Ann Lawless, 15 years decaying. I questioned Mr. Falk, he said, oh, it'll cost $8 million to take it down. Okay, you should have taken it down. You were here 10 years ago, so yes, I'll say you should have taken it down 10 years ago. What are we waiting for? Tell me what we're waiting for, because you have $7.2 million in taxpayers' money, and that building is sitting there rotting away year after year. I know you have been approached by Connect to purchase it. You have been approached by a number of entities. What is the problem? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to ask for a third-party audit of this school district, and that building needs to go. Thank you.
Wait, Annie, I owe you answers. Please
Please
don't
don't
walk
listen
away.
over here. I can listen from here,
Okay.
thank you.
So I just want to make sure I answer all your questions. The number for our special ed that you keep on talking about, some of those students are C-Tech students. There are students that go out to a phenomenal program out at BOCES. It's a career technical, so they're still at the
What
high
school is that? What school is that?
Oh, you
Well, you
BOCES.
BOCES,
Okay,
so
so I
it's a career.
separated BOCES.
Hold on, it's a career technical education center. They're still at the high school for half the day. They're just out there for doing, mechanical,
Okay.
nursing, things like that.
I applaud that.
Okay, so they're in that number that you're counting,
Yeah.
okay? Let's talk about the other number that you're counting, the 50 or so. First of all, there's a lot of kids students with very special needs, individual needs. They need to go to those individual schools that the school district and the parents work very closely with to find the exact need for them. And that's all those individual schools that are listed there. And yes, transportation and education at those schools are very, very expensive, but those students are entitled to it. Now, to bring all those programs into our district is absolutely impossible and cost prohibitive. Every time we get a chance to bring one back in, we do. Over the years, we have brought in many, and that's why we're up to 18 special education teachers, excuse me.
Why are we paying to send our kids to Cornwall High School?
Because
what
there's a
vocational-
special needs,
They
there's
have
a
Is
special,
it a
program.
choice?
there's a specific program there.
I would like to know what those numbers are. I would like a breakdown. Quite
Well, there's-
honestly, I think you owe the taxpayers of this community a breakdown of what
Okay.
we
So
pay
because-
22 other school
Because there's
districts.
certain, okay.
Because we're such a small district, if we were to give you a breakdown of those students, that would be a potential violation of FERPA. So we can show you the bus runs, but we can't tell you
That would be perfect.
child
But the
A is
program-
going to
Okay, so how
this
many
specialized
children
program.
leave the school district on a big bus? Big bus.
You don't
Going
know
out.
that, because a lot of them go on
I've been on
smaller
17 and
buses.
seen West Point Tours bus in the morning going up with 2 kids in it. Come on.
Okay, but
I'm
let me
just saying.
finish, but you
There
don't
has to
know
be a
if
better way.
there's children from other districts, we also share buses with other districts. Well, let's go on to our fund balance, because this is a big piece for me,
Yeah, that's just
okay?
such fun, created for years.
What did you say?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Where's that money
I didn't
going?
hear what you said. Okay, so our fund balance, okay, we get 3.7 in impact, okay? We get 2 million, no, CD,
19 million stated.
You mean the federal, sorry,
No, no,
special
no.
ed?
I
Oh,
wanna-
foundation?
no, oh, CD, yeah, foundation.
19 million state aid.
No,
You're talking about the portion of the
no, I'm
fund,
talking about how much we get in state aid if we don't get it.
oh, 1.2 million
1.2.
of the foundation aid is
Yeah.
based on an MOU.
Okay. So if something goes wrong with our impact aid, okay? We don't get it, government shuts down, anything like that happens, we're already short over $4 million, okay?
I'm sorry, Mr. Miguel, didn't you just say that, you received impact aid even though there was
It's
a
not,
furlough
so it's
and
not,
all
so
of
it's
that?
not, that was for this actual
That's
school
for
year.
this
It's not front loaded.
It's not promised, okay? So we always have to have $4.5 million in our fund balance. Now, if we don't do that, then there's a chance we have to close our schools within a month.
Have we ever not received?
Have we ever
any-
gotten close?
Not received impact aid, ever,
Yes.
ever?
We have done
What year?
it where we've had to dip into our fund balance.
What year
Yes.
did we never receive a penny, is what I'm saying? We never received a penny?
We didn't receive it until the very end.
We didn't receive
2
it
years ago.
until 2 years ago, we received it on after graduation.
No, I'm not asking you when you received it. When have you never received impact aid in this school district?
Back in the 90s, we didn't receive it, but now we're fiscally responsible.
By
and we
nothing, they
keep-
gave you nothing in the 90s?
That's when Roxanne was banging on doors and everything, we were, yeah. But understand this is why we are fiscally responsible and leave money in our fund balance, Annie, So we always make sure that we can pay our teachers, pay our heat, pay our electricity, and keep our doors open.
Okay, so you
And
have
when we
four,
keep on-
you need four, you have seven. Why
Five.
do you have seven?
5, okay? We had a flood, we had a,
Earthquake.
earthquake, okay? We had to take money out of there before we got it from FEMA. We got dangerously low, below that 5, just, I think it was last summer. I was, quite frankly, hitting the freak button with the board. I'm like, we have to stop tapping into that. Because if we do not get our impact data, and you saw the government shut down. We were banging on doors. Our education department closed. We had no one to go to say, are we going to get our money? We have hard-working teachers that we
Okay, I
have
have
to
no
pay.
problem with your teacher salaries.
Right.
None
No,
whatsoever.
but my point is, we need to have the money to pay them. So that's why the fund balance is what it is. New York State came in and did an audit and said, your fund balance is too high, but it's okay, because we know why.
And
So
that's the
that's-
Board of Education that audits your budget, correct?
No,
No, we have an
New York
New
outside
York
fund.
State Education
State.
Department,
external auditors audit every single school
but
district
it's
in New York
the
State.
New York State Education Department audits all school budgets, correct?
By regulation, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I was saying, New York State Education Department requires that every school district have an external auditor that is a private company that will audit the school district. And that's, every single district does that and as
And who do we use? Who has
it's a
it?
company called Nugent and Housing.
Nugent and Housing?
Yes.
So Annie, I think your questions are phenomenal questions. You've asked some of the questions over and over again. We've done our best to answer your questions.
I don't,
But when you don't let us answer, or when you say things that aren't 100% true, I feel it's my obligation to have to just try to correct what you're saying, so we make sure we get the correct information out
without a
there
doubt,
to
without
all
a doubt.
our community members and our taxpayers.
We still pay 6+ to our BOCES programs, $6+ million to our
For
BOCES
special
programs,
needs
which is your
students.
technical and all those
Oh,
programs that you're
CTEC.
talking about, all that great stuff that they do in
Yeah.
every other school.
Yeah.
Alright, so tell me something, can we not do anything that the other 22 schools do? Why? I mean, I don't understand.
Are you
I mean,
saying
when
we're
I say
taking away
sharpen
from
your
our
pencils, I mean, do your homework, like, why can't you save? If you're telling me you need 4 million and you have 7 million, that's not good budgeting as far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, just not.
I said we need 5, so there we go.
You're at
again,
the, yeah, but
disagreeing.
you budgeted for 5.8, you actually had 7.2.
Because we gave them back to the taxpayers $950,000, because we're
No,
being
no, no, you
fiscally
didn't raise the
responsible.
taxes, you used $950,000 of taxpayer money to offset your costs. So you're not doing us any good.
Yes,
You're using what we gave you. You're using what we gave you, no?
So keep the tax rate down so we don't have to raise your taxes. Because we
Raising
are
our taxes
fiscally
anyway. I
responsible.
mean, it's ridiculous.
I guess we're gonna, we've taken up enough time with you.
Is there any other questions just on the school presentation? Go ahead, Mr.
Edward Dunn, village resident. Okay, I have a simple question. I mean, you're picking out line, budget items. The big thing is, this year you're talking about $41,489,472, right?
Correct.
And next year, when you use the baseline for your budget, your baseline is $41,484,472. And you're gonna bump that by 1.8%, something like that. It's gonna be close to $1 million next year, that you're gonna bump the budget. How can you justify that every year? Because what you're doing, next year, this year's 41,000,004, next year it's gonna be 42,000,008. That's what's gonna, and you're gonna base your budget again on that number. You're constantly increasing the baseline that you're basing your budget on. That's highway robbery.
You can't afford this.
Yeah, and you're pricing people out.
It is.
My wife and I, we own property, we pay thousands of dollars in school tax. We've been paying it, I've been paying it my whole life, ever since I bought a house in Highland Falls, and I've lived here my whole life. So what are you telling me? You justify that, justify raising the rate every year and not having a baseline number that you're gonna raise it from. If you're gonna raise taxes, well, why don't you raise it on what the what the baseline was 10 years ago?
Right.
You know, you just continually add, and if you figure this all out, I got it in one of my other books, I figured it out a couple of years ago. You're talking millions of dollars over a 10-year period.
It's not good.
So basically, as taxpayers, we're getting screwed.
It's not good.
Okay, we get screwed from you, we get screwed from the village, we get screwed from the town, we get screwed from the state, the federal government, all the way down. How many times can you cut up a dollar bill? What are we gonna have to spend? We're only probably living on 15 cents out of every dollar we make right now. And that's been that way for a long time. How much more do you want? It's about time to start making some hard decisions. How many people do you have on top that are making $200,000-$300,000 a year that you can eliminate? You eliminate 5 people that are making $200,000 a year, that's $1 million.
No.
You gotta start tightening up. People here are not stupid. Most people here have been well educated. And we've been paying and paying and paying. And what do we get? If the education is so great, I believe that the teachers need more.
Yeah.
Because if the education is school is so
Oh,
great,
yeah.
why are we having children that are being educated by the AOG to bring them up to grade level? Why? Why are we doing that? Can you justify that? You justify that on $41,489,000?
No, you can't just.
I don't think you can.
No.
We appreciate what the Connect program does for our students after school.
I appreciate it too. I appreciate it for the kids. But the responsibility is yours. It's not the Connect program, it's yours.
And we take that very seriously.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment, Ed.
I'll be real quick. Sure. Let's go on, Brian Frederickson, I'm at the top of Mountain Avenue as a father and a volunteer coach for every sport, every age group that the rec program runs. That if you do pass the contingency budget, if the budget doesn't pass and you gotta start charging the rec department $375 per hour, I'll tell you right now, you are doing the children a disservice. Through multiple different things we were able to do, I've been doing it for 3 years since I moved here, every sport, every age group, all right? I got 5 kids, they're in each age group, I coach every single team.
For a long
Our enrollment in each of these sports, in each of these age groups, had like doubled, because we were able to not charge them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what the median income is in the area, but these kids deserve to be able to go and get a coach or somebody to teach them how to play these sports. I'm telling you, you start charging the rec department $375 an hour, I'm out in the field 3 hours. What's that, $1,000 right there? So now you gotta pass that cost off on the parents? Because we don't really charge the parents, maybe we charge them $25 for their kid for a whole season. Now we're gonna charge them a couple hundred? Those kids aren't gonna, they're not gonna be able to afford to send their kids to a rec program. I won't be able to coach them. All right, and then they're gonna fall behind other sports programs, like Cornwall's crazy sports program, or West Point's, but these kids deserve. So if you do pass the contingency budget, if you find some money, try to bypass that law. I know it's a law, the state passed it, you know, they want their property, they want their collection on it, but bypass that $375. If you're in the contingency, your school board, you're for kids, bypass that $375, or else, trust me, I know, the kids are gonna suffer. This town needs these programs for these kids, these youth, for these sports. We have a good program, we've been able to double, sometimes triple that, baseball, we've been able to triple our attendance over 2 years because of the donations and everything else, but if you start charging people $375 to use your facilities, the kids are gonna suffer.
I just
The
want to be
kids will
clear,
suffer more than anything
It's
else.
not
that's not
us.
what we
No,
want
no,
to
you
do.
know what I'm
Money
saying,
spent
if the contingency budget passes, you have to charge us
We,
that, right?
legally,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And if the state finds out that we're not,
No, I'm
threatens
pretty
to
sure,
take our
right,
state.
you guys just said you got some money in the back pocket somewhere, maybe you could try to, you know, offset the cost with that, but I'm telling you right now, that contingency budget with the rec program, I've been coaching everything, every year.
It's a big
You
deal.
got, it is a big deal for the area, for these youth, they've been missing it for a couple of years. All right, I'm working with Aaron, I'm trying to bring back a decent program that builds up each section. If you start charging them even in the interim before any budget's passed, it's gonna hurt the kids more, it's gonna hurt anyone else. All right, so try to find some money to
Can I ask, can I just
Wait, I just wanna see if there's anybody else. No, I'm sorry. Just, I wanna see if there's anybody else before we go back. Sure, come on up.
Discussing special ed, how much money, how many kids go out of the district. But what you're not talking about is the kids who are here who are not getting services, which you guys, and I'm not saying you particularly, but the district tries not to give services needed. I can name 3 families who sold their homes and moved because they could not get the services that their children need. Now, you're talking about this budget, cutting positions, whatever. Is there a Spanish teacher, an actual teacher yet?
Yes.
Is there an ASL teacher, an actual teacher yet?
Yes.
Not online? Exactly. So that's what we're paying for. It's a requirement, kids have to do these things, but you don't have actual teachers.
No, no, ma'am, we do. We have an ASL in-person teacher and a Spanish teacher at the intermediate school.
Sorry, just one more question, Jim, if you don't mind. Your reserve fund balance is unrestricted, correct?
In terms of,
Unrestricted
terms of
reserve fund balance?
what do you mean by
Which
unrestricted?
means that if you needed to utilize it for, okay, let me say this. You have a $40,000 line item, new line item for emergency something, okay? You can't use that money to offset the cost of charging this community to utilize facilities that we already paid for?
Well, that's why we're taking $950,000 to reduce that.
Okay, so if in turn it is a contingency budget, the school could not, the school district would not be allowed by law to offset the cost to the taxpayers here for utilizing the facilities?
No, I didn't say that at all.
No, I'm asking you.
I'd have to double check that, Annie,
That
to
we
be
have
honest with
to
you.
check with the
I-
state,
yeah.
Okay.
because what the state told us last time when we went on a contingency budget was
Which was
that-
when? When was that? I don't know. That was like, what, 90s?
Was it the night? It was a while back.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Like 2000s, like early 2000s or before that, that if we gave use of the buildings, because back then, we had Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts and things like that they would dock us a percentage of our state aid. So we would have to go back and ask them what the rules are.
It's a good
But it's
question.
not unheard
Because
of.
the state, I don't know
I
that.
don't know that.
You know, when I
You'd
looked
have to go
up what
back.
an unrestricted school balance was, you could do that. You could do that. You could use part of that money to offset the cost to your local community, your taxpayers. That's our money that you're holding, first of all. That's our, like it or not, that is ours. People who aren't even hearing it.
Any more
So I'm
questions?
just asking you to sharpen your pencils. You rebudget year after year after year for things just because, or what if, like Ed was saying, compiling it. How the hell did this tiny community get to a $41.5 million budget? How? How do we do that? I'm pissed at myself because I was complacent like everybody else in this room, guaranteed. But I will tell you, I have never voted yes on a school budget because my very intelligent father-in-law said, just vote no. It'll make them sharpen their pencils. Okay? I don't think you sharpened your pencils enough. I'm sorry. Line by line, and if I had the time to present it to the people in this community, because you did not. Your newsletter was lovely, but it was very creatively set out. You know,
I'm just
it
gonna-
really was.
I'm
I
gonna-
think you need to explain a little.
Anybody else have a question? Okay.
It's not a question. It's not a question. Annie, the gentleman who spoke at the end, all you people, these are nice people.
Yeah, they are.
They don't understand what we're going through. Over the next 24 hours, you need to talk to your people. We're gonna vote for a contingency budget, and I hope you can deal with it. We may lose the contingency people. It's not that we don't like you, it's just, I don't have any money to live. You need to talk to your friends, you need to talk to your neighbors. Can't talk to them anymore. They can't give you any more answers. You need to talk to the people who are gonna vote with you and vote no. And that's it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks for coming. I'm not gonna ask the same question I ask every year, about everything with finance and but that's okay. But listening to the people tonight, it's just a comment, and maybe an ask. We have a lot of brilliant people in the executive positions up there. What can we do at the grassroots level to possibly lobby the state to change that law? And I know you have a lot of contacts with other schools where if it did go to court, you wouldn't have to charge the municipalities to use the fields. I'm just throwing that at you for now. If you could look into
We'll
that and get back in touch
definitely
with me.
definitely ask, can I just add one more bigger, major concern if we go contingency? And this is something that's really important, is, and I think you mentioned it, our maintenance buffer.
The 1.2, yes.
We also have a potential of losing our maintenance of effort, our $1.2 million part of our impact aid. It's called our maintenance of effort. It's a separate money we get. That gets us to our $3 million that Roxanne fought like hell to get for us. We have to prove every year that we spend $1 more per student to educate them, okay? So by having to go down, cut $231,000 out of our budget, we could potentially have an issue with our maintenance of effort going into next year, showing that so there's a couple things that we're gonna have to really fight for. And one of them, obviously, will be, obviously looking into what we can do to allow our students and our kids to still use the schools, right? But also, God forbid, we lose that $1.2 million and lose a sheriff, that's huge. I need those sheriffs in the schools.
No, and I understand.
So we'll work on both of those.
Thank you,
Yeah, we'll look
sir.
at
But,
Yeah,
you know,
we'll look
just
at both.
asking if we can at a grassroots level
Yeah.
get the schools, we got some plan
Mhm.
and see what we can do to change that law. I think we could probably get everybody in the state, every school district to sign on to that. You know what I mean? Because the
Can you
state
speak
has
up?
money
We
for
can't
everything
hear
else. Why they couldn't do that, you know,
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
I would just hope that you can look into it, like I said,
Yeah,
not looking
we
for an
will.
answer tonight, if you can set something up, I think it'd be great.
You just say what you're asking.
So I asked the board to please look into how we can network as a community and the school district to network with other school districts to try to change that law that mandates the municipality to charge should they go into contingency. We have the power to do that. All we have to do is network in Albany, and we can make that law change. And I think if we can get them to help us network, we can make that change.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks. Appreciate it. Anybody else have anything else?
Very simple, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
This year, we have to have a certain amount of money in our coffers, so many millions of dollars sitting there just in case. What was the just in case last year? What was the just in case the year before? Because,
Always.
Because impact aid is not guaranteed.
but what happens is it keeps growing and growing and you get interest and interest, but yet you ask for more. That's the thing I think that a lot of people are discussing. They don't
We
understand why
take
you ask
money out of
for
it
more
every year.
when you have $7 million sitting aside, gaining interest somewhere, I'm sure it's not for free. I just wanna know, if it's year after year after year after year, adding up interest, and you still ask for more, that's all I've heard. A lot of people talking about it, I don't usually come here,
We use money out of the cash.
and that doesn't make common sense to everybody.
We do use money out of it. We do, whether it's the earthquake that we had to front the money, the flooding, which devastated this entire community. So if we didn't have that money in there, we would have had to take a loan out, which would have been negative on our part. We would have eventually gotten money back, but everybody in here knows how FEMA works, insurance companies work. So having that money in there is important. All school districts have it. They have it in there. They have fund balance reserves for those rainy day funds. We have that in there, but we also have, impact aid is not guaranteed for any school district in the country that is eligible for it, and it's no different for us.
Can I ask how much you use?
Hold on a second, Annie, hold on one second. If you're gonna ask a question, I have no problem if you don't wanna come up to the microphone, but just if you could stand and just state your name, just so we can have it for the minutes, I appreciate it. All right, Annie, last one.
Sorry. How much did you have to use out of that budget for the flood?
I'd have to go back and check, that was a few years ago, over 2 million.
On the order of about $2 million.
Wow, we still have 7.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I just have to ask.
Ma'am, I'm
Okay, so
sorry.
$7 million.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
$7 million. It goes into an interest-bearing account. How much interest are you getting? And how much do you use? You just said you used some of that money. So
I don't have
interest
the
on
interest.
$7 million is a lot of money.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're all talking about. Correct, Amy? Yes, I was reading your mind. $7 million in an interest-bearing account is a lot of money. And now you're asking us to say, okay, let's keep that $7 million, but where does the interest go? And I believe that's what someone else was asking. Yes? Yes. Where's it going?
Okay, go ahead.
So the interest is in an interest-bearing account, the exact percentages, I don't want to quote you, I don't know off the top of my head at the moment. But what happens is that actually part of our revenue picture includes gaining interest on that. So we're already saying that we're going to take the interest and utilize it for the school in the given year. So that is being done throughout the year. Mr. Maddow and I will look at that on a regular basis. So that's where that comes from. And actually, to explain the point, just if I could shift a little. With regard to that utilization of the $2 million, right, what happened there is we took the $2 million out. We didn't know when it was going to come back, right? Now, the reason you saw 5.8 and it went back up is because insurance, and to a small degree FEMA, very small degree, they did give us that money back after several months, a year and change really is when we finally got it back. So that's why you're seeing those numbers fluctuate. The other thing, last thing I want to note is fund balance is always a sort of a moment in time in every single school district. So, today it's a calculation that we're going to have $7 million, then we'll have something change, interest rate change, whatever it might be, and then the following year might be a little bit down, a little bit up, depending on how the year ends up. And that's how it goes year in, year out.
When was the last time that our school reserve fund balance went down outside of the flood? Outside of those particular?
I do not know that.
Never.
I don't have that.
Okay.
we do use.
I'm gonna take the last question if we can. Sure, John.
John Dodson.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. PE and I spent 12 years on the planning board locally and county-wise. I pay $2,200 a month in school taxes. The two questions I have: what are the total number of employees we have in our school system,
171.
and how has the school population of students gone up and down? My understanding it was 1,150 a couple of years ago. It's now 900 or something. But the cost has gone up, as was mentioned before, steadily 1.1. And what is the ratio of teachers to the administration?
So enrollment was at 1050, roughly in 2018, 2019, or somewhere around 900, so our enrollment has gone down. So the student-to-teacher ratio, that really depends. Elementary schools, we try to keep those class sizes lower at the primary level. High school classes vary, right? Every kid has to take 9th grade English, so those class numbers are going to be higher, but not everybody takes AP Bio, so that class size is lower. So I think we float in between the 15 to 20 range in overall average. Don't quote me on that, but again, it varies on grade level, department, things of that nature. So
The admin people versus the teachers, what's that ratio?
the admin versus the
Well, the
teachers.
people that are not teachers, non-teachers versus teachers.
Staff.
So it depends. If you're talking about clerical, custodians, administrators, yeah, secretaries, things of that nature. I mean, I can give you how many we have of each. We have about 18 custodians, and that's buildings and grounds, that's maintenance. That's the people who clean the buildings every day. We have between 10 to 12 secretaries throughout the district. That's including district office buildings as well, buildings and grounds, business office.
What are the total number of teachers and total number of non-teachers? Let's just go there.
So I don't have that right in front of you. I'd have to break it down, you know, in terms of certified teachers and non-certified.
50/50 or?
No. There's a lot more teachers in the district than there are non-educators.
Well, the last thing, $41 million in less than 1,000 students, I think that's about $41,000 per student. You could send a student to a pretty expensive private school for $41,000. I'm just trying to figure out how this computes. I mean, I guess it goes up and down, so you keep the same.
Again, you know, so it costs less money to educate elementary students. They don't have as many after-school programs, sports, as a high school does, right? And then, as Annie has brought up, we transport students out of district. Those costs inflate that per pupil cost. So it's not, although the quick math says 41,000, it is not. That may just be that's a general way to put it. I do believe in the state portal, which is a public site, I believe we were around 31 or 32, which I think we're right around or just above the state average per pupil.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate you guys coming tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having us.
Have a good night. Good luck with your next part.
Okay, folks, we're gonna move on with the rest of the meeting. Does anybody have any comments on the agenda items? Okay. Yes, sir,
Just
Mr.
quick
Ron.
comment, it won't take very long. Ron Malachi, the north end here. I see on 10, 11, and 12, you canceled the first regular board meeting.
Yeah.
Now, that means for 3 months, there'll be no public comment except for agenda items.
I've got a gift for you tonight.
So you're gonna open up the workshop meetings to general public comment.
Yep, there'll be those 3 meetings, we usually do a meeting in June, July, and August, and those will be regular meetings, even though they're on the workshop dates.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I knew you were gonna ask that tonight. Appreciate it. Anybody else on agenda items? Okay. I got approved bills and claims for warrant number 2512 for fiscal year 25-26, the amount of $1,027,379.67, of which $596,000 is from the capital fund, which is primarily the water project going on down in Cragston. And then general fund 230, and water fund 134, and sewer fund 66,000. I'm gonna do a motion and a second, and if there's any discussion, let me know, okay? So I need a motion to approve that. Motion by trustee Gargiulo, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carroll. Any questions, comments?
Can I have a couple questions?
Sure.
There's a portion of the remainder of the Little League
Your
field.
microphone's not working because it's very difficult to hear back there.
Yeah, try to get it.
Have to bring it up.
There's a lot of mics on
The green light's on, but it's not working.
It's working, you just gotta get close.
Thank you.
Get close, Celine.
I've got a couple questions. Is it on?
No, it's on. Jesus. Get close.
Kiss the mic around here.
Kiss the microphone.
I have a couple questions. We have in this tax bills a portion of the remaining balance that was on the Little League field, that was the FEMA project, and I just had a couple of questions. Has this project been formally signed off as complete? 100% complete?
I would say no, because we're still holding back a retainage. So I believe the contractor met with the engineer there today. There was some more work that's been completed. So we're gonna pay him 10 and hold back 10 until everything that's to the satisfaction of 1 or 2 board members gets there.
Okay, so no, the job is not complete. The contract also includes a $1,000 per day penalty for passing the project end date. And I did confirm with the engineer that the project ran 10 days over. Was that contract provision applied?
I think we're in the process of looking into that, which may be one of the reasons why we're retaining the 10 grand.
And there were also 2 days of engineering inspector hours that were billed on the days that the contractor was not on site. That was a no-call, no-show. Has that been reviewed and reassigned appropriately, or are those costs still with the village?
Of course, we're gonna still retain those costs.
The village would be taking those costs?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I had previously inquired about a line item on one of the prior bills. It was the ball field clay. We'd heard multiple explanations for the increase of that item, including measurement differences, compaction, and changes in use. Can we confirm what the actual documented basis for the increase was?
The actual documented, I don't have the documents with me in hand. We did talk earlier today, so I was not prepared for that. That's my fault, but that's okay. We spoke at length about this at multiple meetings, and we did determine that, talking with the engineer and the contractor in regards to the weight of the clay that came in, we just needed to get more, and getting more created a higher amount of money for the cost of clay. At the end of the day, in working with the town, recreation department, the contractor, the engineer, we're still within budget on this project.
Within the budget of what? The full
The approved
FEMA paid
FEMA
amount?
project.
Or the contracted amount
The
with?
approved FEMA project for that scope of work.
Okay, so based on what we've discussed here, the project is not fully complete, the contract has not fully been followed, and the overage costs.
No, you have to stay.
I just want to see clearly that the job is done, the contract is followed, and the numbers make sense before I approve any items. I think that's something that the whole board should be in agreement with.
Okay. Anybody else? Other questions?
So, yeah, I do. On page 4, that's the one we're talking about right now?
Yep.
Correct.
Page 5, neighbors landscape for 518 Little League Field retention.
This one right. All right, so with that being said, we're holding back half of that right now?
No.
We still owe another
Yeah,
10?
the one bill was for the tree removal for the scenic Hudson project that we are gonna get back. So
That's
yeah.
11.2.
Correct,
And then the other one's the 10?
correct,
And there's another 10 still on hold?
correct.
Okay.
So there's $20,000 remaining on what was billed by the company. If the contract provision of the penalty for passing the project end date, that's a $10,000 charge. So if we're only holding $10,000, that would be that contract penalty. So are we holding it, or are we not? Are we not applying this?
It's exactly what I already said. Right now, we're holding it.
If it's on hold, then we're not applying that provision of the contract.
I think we may be saying the same thing. We're just taking two ways to get there. So there's 10,000 left of a retainage amount, and we're holding that back for right now. I think we'll have to discuss it as a board, and I think we'll have to have the engineer present when we do it.
Okay, and you said also that we're not going to be redistributing the bill for the no-call, no-show days that we paid the engineer's inspector when the contractor was not on site.
As of right now, no.
Okay, so the job is not done, the contract has not been followed, and I can't say that the numbers make sense. The ball field clay that was in question was for the diamond and the mound on the field. The contract bid that went out had a $64,000 line item for that material, and what was billed was $127,000. So that diamond and the mound that's on the Little League field clay was $127,000.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you about what the numbers are, and I believe the board already approved it. So, again, this is money that we got from FEMA to complete this project. I'm not using local taxpayer money for this. That doesn't excuse the overage, but the overage did happen. And so it was approved before we all were in these current positions, and that's what was paid to the contractor. And I have to tell you, the contractor that was awarded the bid, a local contractor who employs local people, went through a lot for that project. And we went through a lot of delays in talking with FEMA with that project. I'm still talking in delays with FEMA. I wish Washington would get their head out of their ass because I still have to deal with them every single week, which you know because you're on the calls. So I don't have a problem holding the $10,000 back, but the next time we talk about this, we're gonna have the engineer here and we'll do it in public. Okay?
You collect every damn piece of dollar that they owe, no.
Thank you, ma'am. There's no comment right now. You can comment in a minute if you'd like. Let me just get through this portion, please. Okay? I'll take a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Olivia?
No.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Okay, thank you. I got minutes from the May 4th meeting that needs approval. If everybody's okay with that, I just need a motion in a second.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Motion by trustee Ramus, second by
Second.
trustee Carroll. All in favor? Any comments, questions? All approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I have a resolution in front of the board for certifying the delinquent water and sewer charges and authorizing the levy of said delinquent charges against real property. Whereas certain property owners in the village have failed to pay their outstanding balances for water and/or sewer services, including but not limited to late fee, interest, and/or penalties, and whereas pursuant to New York State Village Law, Section 11-1118, General Municipal Law, Section 452(3) and 4, Village Island Falls, Village Code 235-28, and Section 180-54C and D, and Section 1420 of the Real Property Tax Law, delinquent water and sewer are a lien against real property that can be levied and collected in the same manner as a village tax. Whereas said delinquent charges are to be collected upon the village tax roll for the fiscal year coming June 1, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved that the said unpaid water rents and penalties totaling $58,252.63 and the said unpaid sewer rents and penalties totaling $137,480.52 are to be included in the annual tax levy for the fiscal year beginning June 1, 2026 in the amount of each lien as set forth in a prepared statement by the village treasurer, deputy treasurer / tax collector, a copy of which is attached here. I need a motion.
Motion.
By trustee Ramus. Is there a second? Second by trustee Gardullo. Any comments, questions? Need a roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. I have a resolution before you, whereas the Village of Highland Falls wishes to extend prudent to set aside from budget lines not fully used certain sums to provide for future stability of operations, protecting taxpayers from unforeseen needs. Whereas the village is demonstrating its fiscal health will benefit from putting money away in reserve accounts. Now therefore be it resolved that the village makes the following outlays from its 2025-2026 budget to provide for reserves as follows. Transfer for the following allocations in budget. Village Hall Repair Reserve, $5,000. The Fire Department Truck Reserve Engines, $60,000. Fire Department Truck Reserve Command Vehicle, $8,000. DPW Vehicle Reserve, $50,000. And Police Vehicle Reserve, $10,000. Total reserves for the fiscal year 25-26 is $133,000. Transfer fund category A through D above line to A 0000.0962. All transfers to be deposited in accordance with the present village investment policy into reserve account hereby established. I need a motion by trustee.
Motion.
Trustee Gargiulo, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Remus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Before you have approved the lowest responsible bidders for the chemical bid for fiscal year 26-27 for a recommendation of VRI. How you doing? Environmental Services Operator Dale Post. He was sitting way in the back. I told him, get up front. I want to make sure you're there. So you have a copy with you there in front of you. I just need a motion and a second to approve the lowest responsible bidders for chemical bids for fiscal year 26-27. Motion?
Motion?
Oh, Trustee Olivia, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Ramus, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Still can't leave yet. We have approved board paving for Roe Park Ball Field parking lot project is under, as per the MERS contract, that they did paving for drainage, per the recommendation of village engineer Todd Atkins. You have it in front of you. It has a breakdown. The total cost is $69,651. And I think we'll move forward. Yeah.
I just had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you just, you said this was part of the Mearns Avenue project? Is it?
Same contract amount.
Okay,
Yeah, the Ward Paving is the county approved low bidder.
right,
They do all non-high, they call them highway roads.
okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Well, I need a motion first, sorry.
Motion?
Motion by trustee Olivia, second.
I had a question.
You-
I'm sorry, I apologize. Is there, this is the paving? I think it was something that had been part of the paving.
This is just, we are just putting in a base coat right now, because we're in the process of dealing with FEMA about the dredging in Roe Park.
Okay.
There is a, no, never mind. Is that good? Okay.
No.
So I had a motion, I had a second. Do I have a second? No.
No, sir.
Need a second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Gardula. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Approve the 4th of July 5K race sponsored by Dean Yeager on Friday, July 4th at 8 a.m. Check-in at Memorial Park pending certificate of liability, which it's on there.
Yes.
Okay, so we got it late, but the insurance is on there.
Make a motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus. Is there a second? Trustee Gardula, any other questions or comments? I want to thank Dean, and I think Brian Mott also, they cook after, and they do a lot for that event. It's a good event, a lot of runners. Last year's a lot of runners. I hold runners in high esteem. So it's a good day, but thank you. Did we approve that?
No, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carried. We have, even though it was 1,002 degrees today, we have approved the Christmas in July Street Fair sponsored by the Highland Falls Fire Department on July 25, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Main Street from Village Hall to Town Hall. Road closure requested from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. pending certificate of liability. It's a good event. They have it. I think it's a fundraiser for the fire department, right? Yes. So it's a fundraiser for our wonderful Highland Falls Fire Department. I need a motion. Second.
Motion.
Okay. Trustee Gargiulo. Second.
Second?
Trustee Olivia. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I have approved Frank Rojas as a member of the Highland Falls Fire Department pending a physical per recommendation of the Highland Falls Fire Department Chief Eric Smith. The membership of the Highland Falls Fire Department approved him May 12th, 2026. I need a motion
Motion based on the recommendation of the chief.
by trustee Ramus. Is there a second?
Second?
Whoa, trustee Gardullo should beat you to
Oh,
it.
sorry. I didn't hear you. You weren't kissing your mic.
I know, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 10, 11, 12, we go to one meeting for June, July, and August. Obviously, if something comes up, we'll schedule a meeting, but those meetings will be regular meetings, even though they're on the workshop days. So the meeting for June will be June 15th, July will be July 20, and August will be the 17th. So I just need a motion and a second to approve those dates, to be regular meetings. Motion by trustee Gardullo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Carroll. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And just as a reminder, I know the supervisor was there, I think he had a special meeting tonight. The town and village are having a joint meeting here. We may buy some more mics by then. But it's the 29th at 7 p.m. here. It's a joint meeting. I don't think there's been one in quite some time. There'll be an agenda for that meeting. So we're talking about town and village shared services that we already have. And I'll have an open discussion about that on the agenda. So that's the 29th. Okay, I'm at the last part of the agenda part, and I'm coming up to the public comment portion for so the battery storage folks are going to do the presentation. If you can hold your questions to the end. If you have to leave, if you have something very important and you have a question now you want to ask, fine. But I would like them to do their presentation, and then we'll open it up to questions. Please just come up to the microphone, and if we can have, one person has a question, and then see if there's anybody else has a question, and then if we get through folks who haven't asked a question and folks want to ask another question, then we'll do it that way if we can. So, take it away. And again, before we start, I just want to say, Annie, put your hand down. Put your hand down, Annie. Annie, put your hand down. This is just a preliminary thing. We've had one meeting. We talked about, I laid out basically what the company has proposed for the village of the potential if we move forward. Tonight's meeting is to just understand a little bit about actually what these things do. If we decided to move forward with this in any way, shape, or form, it's going to open up a whole other set of meetings that I would insist on. The board has not made a determination, despite what social media posts you read, okay, or what page you may be on, because there's a lot of them, and I don't think that any of them are accurate, but that's okay. We know this is a hot topic issue. We heard from the public when it was proposed in a residential area. I don't think anybody was in favor of it in a very dense area of homes. We understand that. We are just looking at this. It's the potential for a few $1 million for the community. Yes, we understand the risks. We want to appreciate them more, which is why we're having these meetings. So we welcome this. We want questions. We want this process. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? How about now? Okay. My name is Margie Goodspeed. I'm a project developer with New Leaf Energy. Really just a continuation of the conversation that we had last month when my colleague Zach had presented. So here with Zach again today, and then Paul Rogers from ESRG. So this is what we're going to run through. Basically, the first part will be like Energy Storage 101. What are batteries? Why do we need them? What are the benefits? Then we'll get into some safety stuff and some prior incidents. And then based on a lot of the questions and feedback from last month, I've put together some FAQ slides at the end as well.
Okay, so how do battery energy storage systems work? To put it very simply, they are lithium-ion batteries that are similar to the batteries that power our everyday devices, batteries that are in your EV charging vehicle or the cell phones that you're all carrying on you tonight. How they work is they plug directly into the grid. They'll be connected from the main power lines right on the road. They charge and store excess electricity when there's too much on the grid and it's not being used. And then they discharge that stored energy back onto the grid when there is a need for energy. So in the images on the bottom here, you can see what makes up a battery energy system. So basically there's individual batteries or cells. They're grouped together in modules and then they sit in a unit or a rack. And then those racks are placed in those containers. They're about the size and shape of like a construction storage container. And then there's about 5 or 6 of them that will make up a 5 megawatt energy storage system. So I have a couple of photos of some of our projects that are nearby. They're both 5 megawatt projects, so a similar footprint, similar amount of cabinets. The one on the left is in Ossining, and then there's one on the right in Hawthorne. So why do we need energy storage? Our national energy demands will steadily increase by 2% each year. So by 2050, our energy demands will be 50% more than what they are today. This really shouldn't be a surprise. There's data centers, EV charging, housing units, and just our everyday tech devices all being plugged into the grid. In the state of our current grid, we cannot accommodate this increased demand. The grid is outdated, it's congested, and it's designed for older technology, and it was also built decades ago when we didn't have as much of an energy demand. So basically, energy storage are one of the upgrades in the tools that the grid can use to make it more resilient as we continue to put more demand on the grid. So some of the benefits of battery energy storage, again, they update and modernize the grid, but at the expense of private developers. Otherwise, the utilities would have to make upgrades and the utilities aren't going to pay for it themselves. They're going to push that cost down to the customers, down to you guys through your bills. Energy storage is a way to strengthen the grid's ability to respond instantaneously to fluctuations in energy demand. A lot of the outdated technologies that currently act as backup power take minutes to begin generating electricity. Energy storage, because it upgrades the grid and creates, it lowers the peak load and opens up capacity, there's room for economic growth and more people to connect and use the electricity. And then finally, they reduce the need for what are called peaker plants. They're old, outdated, natural gas, highly polluting plants that are located primarily in disadvantaged communities. So here you'll see a nearby peaker plant. This is in Newburgh. It's about a 30-minute drive, only 13 miles away. It's a large plant right on the water. You can see up on the top right, it is operating about 16 days a year. So these peaker plants, they work as backup energy. When the grid doesn't have enough energy, these peaker plants fire up, and that's how you get energy to your home when there's not enough otherwise. The bottom right-hand graph, I just took a snippet of the last handful of years of that peaker plant's operation, and you can see that in the past handful of years, the need for that plant to turn on is only growing, and it's going to continue to do so. And then also in the top right, you can see the emissions that this plant is putting out into the environment. So now we're going to move into safety. So this chart here is showing how battery energy storage failures have decreased quite significantly by 98% since 2018. So the graph is showing what's most important is that orange line, and it's showing the number of incidences are lessening simultaneously as we're deploying more energy storage gigawatts onto the grid. The reason for this is that there's been a lot of evolution for technical standards and safety standards, and they're just a lot better than they used to be back in 2018. So this slide has a lot. There's a lot of layers of safety built into the battery system itself and how they're designed. So I'll take it bullet by bullet. So the first one, the battery management system, is probably one of the most important components of the system. It monitors each individual cell and module of the system. So it's 24/7 remotely monitored. If something is looking off, a real person is monitoring it and is able to shut that cell or module down to prevent the fault from spreading further on in the cabinet. The thermal management system manages heat, it cools the cells, and it stabilizes the temperature of the batteries. There's also heat, smoke, and gas detectors with alarms. The unit will have gone through large-scale fire testing to basically evaluate the explosion risk and make sure that all of the parts work well together. And the parts or the equipment will be UL certified. The entire system and how it's designed will be up to New York State Fire Code regulations. Once the system is designed, there will be a third-party peer review process. So basically the state contracts a fire energy safety group to come in and review the design, the components, the safety training materials that we'll provide, all the things to make sure that it's up to code. We'll also develop an emergency response plan with your local first responders, and that plan and that annual training they'll receive is specific to this particular site. Your first responders will also have 24/7 access to a battery energy storage subject matter expert. And then in the rare case of an incident, there is a dedicated hazard support personnel that will be dispatched onto the scene within 15 minutes of the incident. And then finally, decommissioning plan. If the project were to move forward, there would be a detailed plan and bond set aside with the village that spells out how the system will be decommissioned and removed from the property at the end of the lease. So these are a couple of recent incidences that you may have heard of. Most notably, the Warwick fires. They involved a faulty system from a battery energy storage manufacturer that's no longer in operation, and that installation was not approved by fire code, and the facility is now condemned. As a result of that fire, New York State created a battery energy storage fire safety working group to investigate what had happened in Warwick and other sites, and they had established clear guidelines for permitting and fire safety. And then there was also an environmental site assessment that was performed, again for Warwick and some other places, and there was no evidence of impacts to the environment, the soil, air, and water. And then in Moss Landing, this was a much larger incident. It was a far larger system than what we're talking about here today, and that was designed in a very old school building, and they used an older type of battery chemistry and a racking system. Since then, the national codes have been revised, and a system like Moss Landing would not be permitted today. And then some FAQs. So are firefighters trained to respond to an incident at a battery energy storage system? So yes, your local first responders will be familiar with the site itself and the technology. They'll have a site-specific ERP in place. They will participate in annual safety training, and they'll have access to a hazard support personnel. And then all of that is at the cost of the developer. We'll make sure your fire department is comfortable and has everything that they need. What happens if a fire occurs at a battery facility? So a few things will happen. The central monitoring station, again, it's 24/7. They'll notify all the right people immediately. The fire department will arrive on site and they'll follow the ERP protocols. The hazard support personnel will be able to communicate with the fire department immediately, and then again, they'll be dispatched on site within 15 minutes. And then this wasn't asked last time, but it's a pretty common question. People want to know if there is an incident, will they have to evacuate? And that is really at the discretion of the fire department here, but it's typically not necessary or recommended. So what types of fumes or toxins are released in a battery energy storage system fire? The emissions are similar to a house or building fire. Most of the gases produced are hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide. The environmental impacts, again, there was quite a few reviews of prior incidents and no harmful levels of contamination was found in the soil, water, or air. Will the battery energy storage system be insured? Yes, the owner of the system will hold commercial general liability insurance for any claims resulting from the operation, maintenance, and repair of the system. And then these are just some general FAQs. What's the lifespan of one of these systems? So they're about 15 to 25 years. The batteries can be replaced as needed. The lease length for one of these systems is 25 years. Why lithium ion and not other technologies? And it's really just because lithium ion is highly commercialized. It's familiar, it's regulated, and it's also efficient, small, and powerful. Who will be the long-term owner? Again, we discussed this last month, but the project will be sold to an IPP who will be the long-term owner of the lease and the system. They will have to comply with really everything that New Leaf works out with the village and the fire department and how the system is designed and what the lease looks like. And then again, this is another question that wasn't asked last month, but we get it pretty frequently. Are battery energy storage systems needed for storing renewable energy? No. The system will charge and take energy from the grid regardless of where it's coming from or how it's produced. Once the battery is out of operation, again, there's going to be a decommissioning plan and bond put in place, so no worries about the village being stuck with the system on its lot. Has New Leaf Energy explored other locations in the village? Yes, we ran a campaign here last year, and the site we're talking about tonight is in response or a pivot from a less desirable site that was proposed last year. So now we're exploring an opportunity to partner with the village to, put more dollars into the village to better support you guys in your community. I will say and double down on what the mayor was saying earlier that we do not have a project site here. There is no LOI signed. This is just, even though we've had several meetings, this is really just the beginning of the discussion. What are the benefits for you guys? So reduced energy prices over time, less pollutants from that peaker plant nearby, a more stable and reliable grid, and money going into your village. Will the system affect your property value? There is no evidence of this. Is the nearby brook and flooding a concern? Again, we don't have a project. What the LOI does is it allows us to kick off some of the next steps. We'll do many different site assessments on the lot, and if this location is not looking good or safe based on floodways or wetlands or soil or topography, the project will not move forward. And then how many of these systems have we developed? We currently have 3 in operation and 5 more in construction. And we also have several solar farms with these energy storage systems attached to them. And then finally, just some good resources for you guys to find more info about the technology and safety. If you haven't already, I have a couple of handouts at the back table. They cover most of what I presented here today, and then have, a bunch more that I didn't present. I wanted to keep this kind of quick and high level and open the floor for discussion.
Thank you for the presentation. And I just want to also clarify one thing, because I know I've seen it on social media, and I may have heard 1 or 2 people talking about it at one point. The idea of where we're thinking of putting this is not in between the tanks. I know that had come up. I saw that somewhere. Because that's where the flooding, when we had the flood, came through in between the tanks. We wouldn't put it there, so it's actually after the tanks. In an area that didn't have water flowing over it. So just as an idea, again, this is just an idea. And why there? We don't have a lot of property. So it's just, like I said, an idea, an opportunity, a discussion. So the village itself, where all taxpayers get a benefit from it, I have to have it on village property if we were to move forward with this. Again, I'll open up to questions. If you can just come up to the podium, name, that's it. And we'll try to keep it to 3 minutes as best you can.
Hi everybody, my name is Merv Litzy Jr. I am the 9th house coming down from Mountain Avenue. I spoke last time that I was here. During the flooding, I'm probably well over $240,000 that I had to put into my home to get it back up to par, where that's all good now. And going back months ago, going to the AOG, what they have discussed, what they want to do for our community here, and enhancing it on Main Street, and this and that, sounds great to me. It sounds really good that this is what they want to do on Main Street. They want to enhance our community. I've been here all my life. I've been here when I went to the movie theater on Main Street. That's how long I've been here. This is like a storybook village. That's what this is, and that's how I always think of it, as a storybook village. Why on earth would I want to have, on one of the only other entrances coming into the Storybook Village, would I want to have a battery facility such as this? And after hearing all of this, no. I would definitely not want to see this at one of the main entrances coming into our village. I would not want to have this up by my home. I love our fire department, I love our ambulance corps, I have trust in these men and women, I'm part of the men and women that do that. There's no question about any of that. But to have a storage battery facility in this community is just not, it's not a go. It's bring it somewhere else. That's my opinion. I don't say that with disrespect, but we're trying to enhance this village. That's putting something not too well into this village. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Charles Cole. After the flood in July, I became somewhat of a little bit of an expert on home insurance and how insurance works in your home. Why? Because my home was devastated. As a result of that, I lost my home. Act of God was thrown around as a word, and I saw what you put up. put up a general liability contract, in, which is what you're putting forth. So I'm gonna tell you how my insurance company is gonna respond to your general liability contract. They're gonna look at that, and they're gonna litigate against you should my house be damaged. And the first thing that came to my mind was what happened in California as a secondary result of the fires. It wasn't the fire itself that destroyed houses, it was the residual effects of the fires that contaminated the houses, and as a result, the insurance companies denied all payments based on no structural damage, just all those lists of chemicals that you listed. Under general liability, it means that, and you put it there, I took a picture of it, is that it's for your facility, ma'am. And I want to know what happens to us. How are we protected? You know, there were 58 homes, I believe, that were destroyed in this town. I'm one of the fortunate people that had my retirement, and now my retirement is in my house. I was 22 years into paying for the house, and I was told that my house was red tagged and not suitable for habitation. I had a decision to make. 61 years old. Do I start over and try to rent a house, or do I put everything I own and accumulated over 40 years in the workforce into trying to stay in my home? I don't have another run at that should something catastrophic happen. I would want to know that we are protected in mass. Not just from a direct fire that would affect us, but should the contamination make it uninhabitable. I am less than a quarter of a mile of where your proposed place would be. Not quite as close as Merck, but I am definitely within breathing distance. I don't know. I would need clarity from the insurance perspective on how we're protected. And I think we deserve that. Thank you, that's all.
It's a good question.
No, please.
Alright, I'm no stranger at this meeting. Brian Frederickson, top of Mountain Avenue, and I am in breathing and sight distance of the proposed storage facility. I am the second house in as you come down. Board, if you will permit me to make a personal statement, then I have a prepared statement from Protect Orange County Now, whose chairperson was unable to make it. It's a quick statement, I'll be less than 3 minutes on their behalf, but I'll be able to make my personal statement and then present this letter that, from the Protect Orange County Now chair.
Sure.
Okay, they're known in the area, that they have made statements before at other areas for that. As far as my personal thing goes, I remember speaking to you guys last time, all right, you guys answered my questions. I just think that the risk is not worth whatever reward we're getting. And I just want to let you know that right now. I think that is, I'm not going to, my personal story's out there, everyone. The risk is not worth the reward. The juice is not worth the squeeze. However you want to say it, it's not worth it for this town, who's been traumatized before with the major disaster and got no help, that we take a chance. The chance is what we're saying. No, you know, the best, if you put that in somewhere where there's nothing around, because, you could store it anywhere. It doesn't have to be right by our water thing and 300 yards from my house. It can be stored anywhere else, but not by our water thing and not by residents. And even though, yes, we're not densely populated like Cedar Grove, I think that for the board, I think that between Cedar Grove's meeting and these meetings, if this is for personal knowledge in case it comes up that you want to put it somewhere else, then yes. But to explore it, I honestly think there's really not much that, I think everyone after the first couple meetings, especially after Cedar Grove, did their research on these facilities. And we just don't think that the risk at a 97%, even that 3%, after what happened in July 9th of 2023, I don't think that this village will take that risk. Because we're still building back from July 9th of 2023. Had FEMA, the state, or anybody shown any type of resiliency after the flood to make that area that is one of the areas that are being proposed by our water plant more up to code, or not look like a storage yard or anything like that. Maybe if you had proper, we had the proper funding to make that area more up to date to accommodate the amount of water that has been increasing over the years, then maybe the facility would have a better chance. But we have seen that this village has suffered from multiple storms, because don't forget, we had one in December that year too, which was almost as bad, and wiped out half the stuff, right? The village had to repay money for it. This village is not gonna take that 3% chance, and it's not against you guys or the systems themselves. I'm pretty sure a lot of people like it. This village, if you have not understood yet, will not take that 3% chance. That is a risk that that the residents of this village are not willing. It's just not worth the squeeze. Whatever, 2.5 million, it's just not worth the ramifications if something goes wrong, or as an act of God, might not affect your facility, your facility might not be the cause of it, but an act of God might destroy it, and then that all flushes down. So that is my personal statement. I just don't think the 3% chance is something that anyone here is able to risk. You know, we got our houses here, we got our lives here. I am literally the first person to take a whiff of anything going wrong there. Me and my 5 kids, and some elderly people over at the top of Eagle Valley and right above me. It's just not worth the 3%. Protect Orange County now is a organization that has been against best facilities in the area. Now, while these statements I will be reading are not my own, or do I not necessarily agree with everything they say, but I was asked to read this as talking to them about, you know, getting different perspectives of these best stations. Okay, so dear members of the town board, I'm reading this for Pramila Malik, and she is the chairperson of Protect Orange County. She is writing to strongly urge the town of Highland Falls to reject the proposed battery energy storage system. Battery storage is represented as a green and clean energy alternative to fossil fuels. Orange County has been under siege by gas infrastructure to power the New York City grid, so no community has a greater stake in transition into green energy than ours. However, we have learned that battery storage is not clean or green, but rather merely storing more fossil fuel power while inherently toxic and volatile and industrializing rural communities. It is not a climate solution, but a climate deception. We have already seen firsthand what these facilities can do. In the town of Warwick, our community witnessed a battery fire burn for days. It required prolonged emergency response, raised serious concerns about air quality, and demonstrated just how difficult these fires are to contain and fully extinguish. These are not isolated or hypothetical risks. They are real. They are real documented events happening in communities like ours. She was present near the Warwick site 2 weeks after the fire, and after being there for less than an hour, I experienced a metallic taste in my mouth. I had immediately gone home to rinse my mouth. There were reports that workers at the site also became ill. When battery systems burn, they can release highly toxic substances, including hydrogen fluoride, carbon monoxide, and fine particulate matter. These emissions pose immediate and long-term risk to residents, first responders, and the environment. Yet despite these known hazards, New York State does not currently have adequate enforceable regulations in place to fully protect communities or the environment from these emissions or their aftermath. These systems are inherently volatile. Even so-called safer battery chemistries can experience thermal runaway, prolonged burning, and reignition. At the same time, local fire departments are often not equipped with the specialized training, resources, and protective equipment needed to safely respond to these incidents. This proposal would effectively industrialize a rural community and pose disproportionate risk on local residents. The burden of potential fire, toxic exposure, and environmental contamination falls squarely on the host community, without meaningful consent and without sufficient safeguards. The residents of this town should not be asked to accept these risks. I urge the board to take a precautionary, protective stance and deny the approval of any type of battery energy storage project. Thank you.
Brian, do you have the letter? Do you want me to put it in the minutes?
I can send it to you. I
Yes.
have it, it's on.
Yeah, send it across.
Email it to me,
Yeah, we'll
so.
put it in the minutes.
Yeah, I'll get the email from, I emailed you last time, right? No?
It's on the bottom of the website. I mean,
Page?
yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
Hold on, ma'am. Mr. DeWitt has. Brian, you're good.
I'm good, Jim, thank you.
Mr. DeWitt, you okay?
I'm good, Jim.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rebecca Gold, and I live on Drew Avenue. This is the first one. I'm sorry,
Whoa.
Rebecca Gold, Drew Avenue. You talked about the environment and the air. What about the ground quality? A fire for a long period of time, that's going into the earth. How are you cleaning that up?
Yeah, it was not only the air was tested, but the soil and the water were tested within the perimeters of the facility and surrounding the facilities.
Rebecca, you okay?
That was my
Okay.
concern.
Nancy, come on up.
the opportunity, and thank you for the presentation. My name is Nancy Sporbert. I'm a resident of the village. I go up to the water plant, I see the water plant guys each day. I look at Brian's house, I look at Merv's house, all over the place. So I can see both of them. So my questions are, the spot there, so let's say the impossible does happen and it catches on fire. How are you getting to your job? And how is anybody getting in and out of the village? Going up to the top of Mount Avenue. So that's one question, you don't have to provide an answer. I'm a little skeptical about the home values only because I don't think we're far enough into it for people to really experience a loss of a home value because of the existence of a plant. And then the question, I don't know whether you're able to answer it, because it's municipal property, are you still required to go to planning board, zoning board, and all that?
Even if we weren't, we would still do it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'm sorry, sort of, yes, sir.
Mike Lynn. I was here at the last meeting with your company. The level of dissatisfaction to one of you guys here, what made you say, let me go to the village and see if they want to put one there? The village is only 1 mile, maybe? Who initiated the conversations? Did the village go to New Leaf or did New Leaf go to the village? Or should that not be answered?
No, Michael, it's no problem. I think either you asked it or your brother asked it last time, and I'll give you the same answer I gave last time. It was we were just happened to be having a conversation in the parking lot, and I said, I would like to get more information about it, because at those meetings, the primary concern was this facility in a residential area, in a very dense residential area. Okay, wait a minute, hold on, let me answer you. So, and at that particular point, only one individual was getting a benefit from whatever risks everyone else around him had to take. So the only thing I wanted to do was find out more information. I think we've got more information on the second round than we did on the first round, because the whole board was against it going in a dense residential area, and we are just looking at it. Like, it doesn't matter who, I started the conversation in the parking lot, and I said if I had a spot that made sense, could we even look at
Well,
it?
to me it matters, because they're business people, and their mission is to make a dollar. Your mission is to make sure the community is safe. Right down the hill, there is a school. No one's talked about thermal run or anything like that. Every pamphlet I read through is positive. There is not one negative in all them packets you read. Oh, this case, it's rare. Just because anything rare, you're gonna put people in jeopardize any people. It shouldn't even be
Mike, no one's
any research.
all right, I don't want to interrupt you, but nobody's risking anything because we haven't done anything.
Having this conversation with
I can't have a-
here now, you are jeopardizing.
No,
because
having a conversation doesn't jeopardize anything, Michael, I'm sorry. And
Not one person
there's the same
telling you.
amount of risk, wait a minute, hold on, because this is what I'm talking about, like the warmongering. There's the same amount, hold on a second. Yes, you are, because the same amount of risk that a gasoline tanker coming down Mountain Avenue would have the same apparent risk. Now, I don't shut down Mountain Avenue. I'm researching the potential, okay? It doesn't mean we're doing anything. And to me, it's very important to involve the public, which is why I'm doing this in an extremely open session.
the $2 million doesn't outweigh.
You may be right, my friend, but we're going through the process.
So the meeting last time, when everybody was so for it, you got the idea that $2 million might be worth their opinion?
Michael, I said at that meeting that we were going to have at least one more meeting, and I kept my word. If the answer's still no, it's okay. But I had the meeting. I think everybody is good to know more information, and we can make an educated guess, or make an educated decision. But I'm not going to not have the meeting because it might be a touchy-feely subject, because I think it's important that the community gets involved.
So 15-minute dispatch time, what is the time on site per state regulation? If there's a spill contract and you get called, you might be dispatched in 15 minutes, but you have 2 hours to get there. 2 hours, the smoke would hit the school by then, so.
Yeah, that's correct. They would have to leave within 15 minutes and be on site within 4 hours. That doesn't mean
So,
they have
I
time
mean,
to dilly-dally
that's-
until the 4-hour mark. They leave within 15 minutes.
So if it's on fire, your emergency specialist has 4 hours to respond on site while it's burning.
They have 15 minutes to respond.
No, they have 15
leave their
minutes to
homes
be
and
dispatched.
dispatch. Yes,
But they have 4 hours to respond.
yes.
Not safe.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir, right here.
Hi, Mark Williams, ABA Mount Avenue. I wasn't at the other meeting, okay? Can you just give us a brief, like, for my own edification?
Sure,
Village is gonna collect $2 million on the project?
At the first meeting, I just went over basically what seems to be their standard lease, land lease, so that's how the village would make money for the water. It would go directly to the water system. So the village would lease the property to New Leaf. It was $75,000 a year, 3% increase, 25-year lease. There was some monies if I signed the LOI down, I believe up to 25,000, was it? Yeah, up to 25,000. It comes in 10 and then 15. And in addition to that, we were gonna do some improvements at the water plant and the holding tank across on 9W.
Okay, thank you.
That's pretty much the nuts and bolts. And I'm sorry, there was also a $5,000 escrow for us to hire a independent engineer that would oversee the project, that specializes in these things for the village.
Did that cover it?
Yeah, in speaking with an engineering firm, yes.
Okay. You answered how long the batteries last, thank you. Is there any special fire equipment required to be on site, get there in a hurry? And who pays for that? Is that, if there is any, is that the responsibility of the fire department?
Yeah, there's no special fire equipment needed at all for these fires. As a matter of fact, in Warwick, I was just with the Warwick chief where he was doing a presentation. They said they didn't put a drop of water on the one in Warwick at all. They allowed it to burn as designed, and there was not a drop of water put on it at all. And you can speak to him on that from the Orange County hazmat chief. But didn't propagate outside the one container that went on fire. So basically, when they do that testing that was mentioned earlier, they have to put the full container on fire and show that there will not be any spread outside the container. And that's exactly what happened in Warwick. So it's a proof of concept that standard and that large-scale fire testing works.
Did you get your question answered? You okay?
No.
So the equipment, I think there was a bullet on your presentation that said that if there was a specialized piece of equipment, which is I think your question, do you guys?
Yeah, I think I can answer for the. Yeah, there is no special equipment, but if the fire department didn't have like a thermal imaging camera,
okay,
we would get that for them.
Okay.
If they thought they needed some air monitoring, they can get something like that. That's all relative to what they may need in the event that they were showing up there. Obviously, if it's on fire, they're not going to use any of that stuff
Right.
there.
Okay.
But did you just say that they just let it burn, they didn't put water on it?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a foam you can put on it? Is there?
No,
I worry
so-
about what happened,
So in
Stewart.
Right.
Yeah, in
Good question. Yeah,
in
good question.
and actually, yeah, this foam doesn't work. I'm retired from the New York City Fire Department. We actually tested that in New York City Fire Academy. Actually, the Department of Transportation, ERG, said to use foam, but it would be straight water if you need it. You can put water on it, but we really would rather them not, because what it does is it prolongs the incident from, burning energy is something that we've done numerous times in the field. Propane, any leaking propane tank, we actually burn out the contents of the propane tank, so we get rid of all the energy of that, or any flammable gas that is leaking. We will actually set up something to actually just burn off that energy, just to consume the product itself to get rid of it. So this is not new as far as energy is concerned.
Okay, thank you. And then I think you mentioned environmental impact study. Is that a requirement for this?
Again, even if it wasn't, it would run the full gambit.
And then you guys mentioned that it just takes power from the grid, no matter where it's produced. So if that plant in Newburgh is running, it's because there's a lot of draw. Any excess that's created comes right to your batteries. Yes? Yes or no?
Can you repeat that question?
Yes, sure. You said that they take energy from the grid no matter where it's created. So if it's created by wind power, you're getting wind power energy.
Yep.
If it's created by solar energy, you're getting solar energy. If it's created by the plant in Newburgh and there's excess, you're going to take that power as well. Is that correct?
In theory, it could take that power, but the energy storage would dispatch energy before that peaker plant is turned on. It's to replace and eliminate the peaker plants.
Okay. My final question is, who inspects the construction? I know you're going to hire an engineer, but who inspects the actual plans? Who reviews all that?
That engineer would.
So he'd be contracted by the village,
Yeah,
and he would actually do the inspections and sign off? Everything good?
oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am, you're next. Hi, sir, how are you?
My name is Jason Santiago. I've been here 25 years. I live in 127 Malvern Avenue, which is the third house from it's the best point of place that you can say, right? And if you haven't been aware, his wall was on New York Times in that flood that it had, which not that many people know. It took a long time before anybody came over to Mountain Avenue, on that Mountain Avenue, to kind of look over what happened to that community. I know that the focus in Main Street was a big thing, and it's absolutely, and then you have the senior citizen centers. So logistically, you had a lot of people moving around, helping each other, doing the best as we do, as this community does. Now, I surely understand that we're all for green energy and infrastructure, you know, and the potential gains for $2.5 million for this town. We're hearing from what you see for all the tax impacts that we have from schools and people who are living here, people who are still recovering, trying to make whatever they can in payments and live through this life. You've even mentioned before that you've even eliminated that you had a first site because it was not, a lot of people from the town came, said it was not a great place to put it at. If you think about where you're putting this at, and I'm not here for the pros and rights, I'm just here for us as a concerned person. You think about where you're putting this at, you're putting this in one of the worst geographical place that you can possibly think of, putting something like that. You have the potential for water and air contamination. And if you have a flood, if you're battling a flood, now you're battling this, you have no idea how to separate the resources that you have. Second, I mean, you're gonna think about any contamination and people who are hurt. How are you gonna think about that? You're saying your equipment, that wasn't even really addressed, what specialized equipment that they need, right? And then the tax liability. Let's be honest, right? It was an act of God with the flood. If something else happens with the act of God, something else bigger happens that's added to this fumes or whatever contamination, this town is not going to take the tax implications. The tax implications are going to go squarely on the house payers here. And we all know that's what happened last flood. It was not FEMA paying us. It was not no one else paying us. It was the town helping each other. In fact, we had to look towards faith-based groups coming into our town to help us cope and go through whatever we have and rebuild. And I'm still rebuilding myself, so I'm sure that a lot of gentlemen saw the man over there who was rebuilding his house. So this doesn't become we understand it's a great thing, But if you look at this, just like you bypass the first site, and I applaud the residents here, these things belong in an industrial area. You mentioned like the Newburgh site, the Pica plant, that's in an industrial area. We are not an industrial area, we are a village. And that's where that building belongs. No matter how small it is, how big it is, you just still have an implication of danger. And I don't think, no danger, especially after all the things that we've gone through as a town here, is worth us having any potential percentage be put up there. If you look at the Newburgh Pica plant, they've also fell through compliance issues. They haven't been able to expand on some of their sites as they wanted to as well. Those type of things, the other fires that you had, you said, oh, we had better violations of codes. The thing is the risks and mitigations. You say you've learned from the past, but that doesn't remove future risks, right? And that's where we're coming from. And we understand this is a business motive, and money should find ways for us, and we applaud you for doing that. And that's what it should be. And just like you said, we should hear both sides of it. But you have to listen to the voices of people before you listen to the amount of money that you're going to get. You're going to have to do something. Because let me tell you, at the very end, people remember.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Then you'll be next, ma'am.
I have a question, I just need
Sure,
clarification.
sure, sure.
My name is Jean Gottlieb, I've lived in the town for 38 years. I live up on Locust Street, just above Nancy. And maybe I misheard, but is the plant gonna require tapping into our water systems for cooling or anything like that?
No.
At all in any way? Because my concern is that up until last November, I had clear water the whole time until I had to contact Dale and say, I have brown water after they flushed the hydrants.
Okay.
And I have still now, I'm dealing with it, he never actually, he took a sample and never got back to me as to what was in the sample, if there was any lead.
He's in trouble now.
So, is that true? Did you get back to me?
I did test the chlorine and
But did you get back to me?
probably
No.
not.
So that's my concern, if there was, if our water system was gonna get tapped into, I have been dealing with this brown water now, since last November, which all the years I've lived here, I've never had that problem. So that if they had to tap into our system, I would be concerned highly, because I was told that our infrastructure is so old, that that's what's causing part of the problem.
Right. No to your first question, and Dale will be up tomorrow.
I'm not home, so that's okay.
Okay.
You're welcome.
He'll call and schedule an appointment.
All right, thank you.
I thought I saw him. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tina. I live at 88 Mountain Avenue. We're right as you start to come down, and big magnolia tree in front of my house. During the flood, we were not able to get home for 24 hours. I had to have a neighbor come in basically to take care of my animals because we could not get home. Okay, so there's only 2 ways in and out of this town. To have one of them be possibly blocked is a travesty, waiting to happen. I also have a video on my phone of a car floating past my house, during the flood. To put this plant in an area that's in a flood zone during a time of unprecedented changes in our totally, like, everything that happens with our weather, let's say, is just plain dumb. We've had 100 years, right? What another 100 years happens next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. We're gonna have a super El Nino this year.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
But that means a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of heat, a lot of precipitation. And what happens if there is a fire? All that precipitation is gonna go right into that beautiful little stream, and it's gonna end up downstream, killing everything. Because a lot of those chemicals are not healthy. Period. So, in my mind, this is just wrong.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes, sir. You're next.
Thanks, Ron Malcutt, North End of the village. This is the second time that New Leaf has presented to this board. And you listened to the people from Saturday Grove who said they did not want a battery storage facility in their neighborhood. And I'd just like to know if this board is going to respect the Mountain Avenue neighborhood, north and south, the center of town, Mountain Avenue. And well, that's the same, north and south of Mountain Avenue is Mountain Avenue neighborhood. Are you gonna listen to the residents and as you did Saturday Grove residents and make the same decision?
Absolutely, Ron. That's why we're having this process. So I appreciate you asking that question, and that's why we're doing this. Because if I would never want to be the mayor of a board that just rams something down the throat. So that's why we're doing this process.
And I kind of applaud the battery energy storage thing, but it's just not right for our community.
Yeah, I get it.
We're 1 square mile community, and there's no place really to put it.
Yes, ma'am. You'll be next, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Kelly. I have lived at Highland Falls for about 21 years on 154 Main Street. I've been a practicing physician associate in Orange County for about 15 years now. As someone who works in healthcare, I feel compelled to speak regarding the proposed battery energy storage system at 241 Mountain Avenue. In healthcare, we are trained to evaluate risks carefully, especially when public safety and emergency preparedness are involved. My concern is not opposition to clean energy or new technology. My concern is whether our community currently has the necessary safeguards, emergency response resources, and regulatory protections in place for a project at this nature and scale. Battery energy storage systems can involve risks related to thermal runaway events, fires that are difficult to suppress, air quality concerns, and potential impacts on nearby residents and first responders. Across the country, municipalities are still developing standards and learning how to best manage these facilities safely. Given the proximity to houses and the unique characteristics of our community, I believe it would be reasonable and responsible for the village to consider a temporary moratorium while additional review, expert consultation, and safety planning can occur. A pause would allow the board, residents, emergency personnel, and independent experts time to fully evaluate zoning, fire protection, evacuation planning, environmental considerations, and long-term health implications before irreversible decisions are made. As healthcare professionals, we often rely on the principle that prevention and preparedness are always better than reacting after an emergency occurs. I respectfully ask the board to take a cautious and thoughtful approach on behalf of the residents of Highland Falls. I stand here before you asking the board to place the safety, health, and long-term well-being of the Highland Falls community first by adopting a temporary moratorium on this project. Thank you for your time. And I also printed out a temporary moratorium that I can give you,
I will give it to the clerk.
but I have copies.
Oh, sure, okay, I thought you had one, I'm sorry. Ma'am, yes.
I'm Dee Murphy. I live on 20 Mountain Avenue, across the street from Brian, some Jason. I am all for green energy. I think it's the way of the future. And if it wasn't on the top of my block where I pass it coming and going from work every day, I'd be all for it. We keep going back to the flood and, our neighbors are still rebuilding from it. And we've seen that brook tear off Jason's fence and boulders, and we didn't get a lot of help from FEMA, and that's a concern about and this is a separate topic, but Mountain Avenue, separate from is a dangerous place.
Yeah.
When you said a tanker could spill over, and that's a real concern.
Yeah.
You know, so speed bumps going down, maybe in the future could be another reason, but I know we're not here for that.
Yeah.
But I live on Mountain Avenue, and I don't want to be afraid of what if.
Right.
It could be a 1%, but what if? We're breathing this in. We have a school down the street, like that just would be common sense. If we want to go back to 9/11, the air is clear.
Right.
People are dying from that
Right.
today.
Yep.
So when there's a concern, if this goes up, I would think twice buying a house on Mountain Avenue. So my concern is our property value would go down, but that is secondary to the what ifs.
Right.
The risk is not worth the benefit on Mountain Avenue. If it was anywhere like industrial, where Jason was saying, I'd be all for it because I think it does serve a purpose, and I do appreciate your presentation. It's the way to go, but I would be afraid to live right on Mountain Avenue. So thank you for your
No, thank you for coming up. Cindy, you can come up, but no bad words.
I have a funny comment to make, and that, my name is Cindy Phillips, I've been here 23.5 years. So the comment is, this feels like a Hallmark movie of a little town that has this big corporation who wants to bring something in. I have to say personally, I'm not totally opposed to the idea, I might be the minority in the room, but I don't live on Mountain Avenue, but I live down the street from there. I don't know how much property you have, this has nothing to do with what I'm about to say, but just listening to everybody speak, obviously health is most important. I've been here long enough to be here and miss out on these disasters that have happened, just the way that my house sits on Prospect. So knock wood that I've kind of avoided the hurricanes, but I have seen the devastation that's happened. But I find it left-handedly comical that this feels like the little guy against the big guy, although I'm sure with plenty of information and maybe another piece of property, it's not a total no forever, but it sounds like the way it's going right now, it's not.
Yeah.
So there's still a rooster, so.
Okay.
So I've been here 23.5 years.
I got one too now.
When I chose to come here, for anybody who doesn't know me,
I don't have
is that I bought 2 houses, 1 piece of property. I thought, well, I'll be a landlord as a real estate agent. It was a smart idea. I bought that house next to that, so I own 3 on this tiny little stream. And for 23.5 years, I could give you a list of crime that wasn't taken care of, a list of stuff that has happened, and everything that happens to me happens to the property next to me, because I have tenants. So if the rooster's screaming, it's screaming, and it affects my property value. I have dumped tens of thousands of dollars into renovating my 2 houses. I've dumped $70,000 into having a business in town, and part of the reason why I closed the business was repeated criminal vandalism issues, parking tickets for trying to empty my food into the cafe.
Right.
So here I try to make my street more beautiful. I tried to bring something beautiful to the town, and it was a constant, repeated issue between the crazy guy everybody knows that lived on Prospect and the constant vandalism that nothing ever gets solved, no crime ever gets fixed. It's 95% of the crimes that happen are not solved, even though my business was right under video surveillance at the time. So I have lost as a homeowner by tens of thousands. And I'm talking roofs, properties. I've lost tens of thousands because I had terrible tenants and done evictions. And the judges tend to side with the terrible tenants and not the one person taking care of the property. So now, there was a rooster and chickens, but the rooster screaming for over a year. It only seemed to go away when I went to the news and went to the newspaper and put up flyers and went around to the neighborhoods. 2 months later, I can hear that bird, and I know it was a joke a month ago, but it's not a joke, and I'll explain to you why the rooster's not a joke. I can hear that bird in every room in my house at 7 o'clock in the morning. I worked for 7 days a week for the last 15 years to finally have a day off, and that bird screams on Christmas and Easter. He doesn't care what the holiday is, right? The fact that those people got the rooster removed, but not the chickens, even though I had submitted how many complaints about how many things happening around Prospect Street. Nothing in the building department is being done. Yet, They'll give me a ticket because my grass grew too high. They'll give me a ticket because the roofing materials were dumped over the side of the house towards the street. So 36 hours later, I'm getting cited. Meanwhile, everything's taken care of within 72 hours. So what I see in this town, and I have enough data, is that a whole lot of stuff happens against the law and in violation of the town codes, and nothing gets done. And then people like me who don't like citations take care of the issues pretty much right away. The grass grew, I was away, I got it mowed while I was gone. I had a dog bark in my backyard once and got cited, but the neighbor had his dog bark for 10 years till that dog died. 4th of July, the fireworks go off outside my house, freaking out my cats. I don't know about 4th of July. But the next day, the garbage on the street isn't taken care of, right? So everybody wants to have fun. What about the marijuana smells on the street before it was legal to smoke on your front porch? So as somebody who works really hard and has lost a disgusting amount of money, as someone who's hardworking, to have that witch up the street, have a rooster and chickens tell me that I need to effing leave the neighborhood and I should move away because she's breaking the law, and then have you take care of it only for 2 months go by, get another rooster. I don't come to town meetings, I trust you guys to do your job. But the fact that 2 months later, we got another one, and it's 7 months later, but a month ago at the meeting, you said, foot down, we're gonna take care of this. And that bird is still screaming. It is not about the rooster. It is about that there are plenty of people in this neighborhood that continue to be good people, take care of their houses, take care of their property. I don't have kids in school, but I pay school taxes. For what? Why don't you give me a refund for 23 and a half years? I'm paying school taxes with no children in the school. So I am a one-person household that has continually tried to make the town better. I've made my houses better. I had a beautiful business that's gone partly because of crimes that were not taken care of. So at this point, I shouldn't have to move because everyone else or certain people.
I'm going to interrupt you because you're past, but two things. You didn't, I don't know what time you came in, but before we opened the meeting at 7, we had an attorney-client quick meeting in the back, and the primary focus of the...
It's not the rooster.
No, hold on. The primary purpose of the meeting was to talk about how we may change some of the laws or the process of the law to put it more on the board versus going to court. So we're researching it and how we can do it, because I got one too now.
I know.
And I'm actually a little aggravated to hear that your rooster starts at 7, because mine starts at 4:30.
Well,
So and now I threw out my alarm clock because I don't need it, because I'm up at 4:45 now.
And she said it was illegal in 76, 49, 51.
Yeah, I don't care. I got to tell you know where I'm at with that, okay? And I understand people have pets, and the actual way to do it is to ask for permission from the board first. And these folks, oh yeah, you could ask the board. We had an individual one time asked to have a potbelly pig as a pet for emotional support animal. No, it was legit. I mean, and the board actually approved it. Cute little pig, you know. But the problem is these folks just have it, and then they're saying, well, I'll just come get a permit. Well, it's going to be no. The request is going to get denied because you didn't care to even ask to begin with. So believe me,
I
got it.
Here's a second. This is separate. So I'm sure you get the point.
I got you over though on you.
So give me 60 seconds.
I'll give you 30.
When I had the cafe, I met the mayor of Beacon. The mayor of Beacon had turned Beacon around. It went from to a beautiful neighborhood. He was willing to come down here and talk to Highland Falls, because Highland Falls is stuck in the 50s about how do we get business and all of this. As somebody who had a business and saw what worked and didn't work. There are people who have successfully improved towns, not far away, that started in the same way we have. But the fact that we are still here talking about how we're going to improve the neighborhood, I think that there are plenty of other mayors or other people that would be happy to come here and see what they could do to improve the neighborhood as far as business district.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
No problem. It did help Beacon, and they got about $15 million too. That helped. So
Well,
the state wants to give that to me. I'll take it. Did I see another hand up?
I have,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, at 120 Mountain Avenue.
Sure.
And
question, did you say that you have developed like 3 installations and you have 5 being built now?
Mhm.
So it just like that total is all of your experience with building these?
Yes.
Okay. And wasn't the fires in Warwick, weren't they due to water incursion?
Mhm.
Okay. So how are you gonna prevent water incursion? I stood on the top of Mountain Avenue and watched that Niagara Falls coming down. It may not be behind the tanks that were
No, I
coming down,
understand.
but water finds,
Sure.
it's,
Finds a way.
it finds a way. People were turning around in my driveway to prevent floating down by Tina's house. We have trucks, big, I mean, like, that's a main delivery source with big container trucks coming down Mountain Avenue.
Yeah.
It's a little bit curvy, they're not really they don't go very slow. I think it's a dangerous spot, so I understand how you might think it's a good location, but overall, water, proximity, I live 900 steps from where that location is. I measured it from I'm presuming it's like closer to the water plant itself instead of behind the tanks that you're looking at.
Yeah, if you're looking at the tanks,
Where the thing says
it's
welcome
literally over
to
that little
Mountain
bridge that goes in, yeah.
Yeah. So 900 steps, not that far. I can't see how we could possibly go there. I've got video watching, like, that stream that knocked down his fence, that boulders were being moved through there. So if water is gonna come down that hill, it's gonna find a place, and I can't understand how you could, like, build it up high enough so that it's not, the foundation is not going to be, compromised in any way. As I remember correctly, even from those water tanks,
Yeah.
had some compromise to the foundation.
Right, so this, you're right, what you just said, so this actual location is before the main
Yeah,
drainage
like I
tank.
said, water ponds.
Oh, no, I'm not discrediting what you're saying, I'm just saying, just location-wise, that's all.
Okay, so, my concern is about, like, now you said that you build them, so you develop it, and then the site gets sold to somebody else that actually does what?
Yeah.
Go
They
ahead.
manage it?
Good, no, you did.
Yeah, they'll contract an EPC to build the system, and then they'll also contract an O&M company to operate and maintain the system. So we get it essentially shovel-ready, and then we sell it to an IPP.
Okay, so it's really the people who, they get it shovel ready and then they turn it over to somebody else, right? So it's those people who, like, we really have to understand what their qualifications are, how they're gonna maintain a site like that, a plant like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to work with an engineer once who said to me, Claudia, I designed this project based on the information, the data, the equipment, everything I know today. A week, 6 months, a year after this project is completed, it could be a total bust.
Right.
Because nothing gets engineered perfectly and needs changed, or the technology changes, or something gets in the way.
I get it.
So the $2 million, is that something that you get upfront, somebody hands you a check, or is it an ongoing, it's based on the leases? And
Yeah,
everything?
it's based on the lease.
So that project could fail at some point before you even get the $2 million.
I think the way the preliminary lease is written, can they get out? Can they get out, or can we get out?
I'd have to look at it
Yeah.
again, Mayor, but
Yeah, it's okay.
yeah.
I understand your point, valid point. I'll come back, I just want to see if there's anybody else. Anybody else who didn't have a question or anything? Okay, we'll take the last one.
Tina, that's me. Hi, I'm Tina again.
88 Mount.
So, this came to my mind as
Sure.
some of the other people were speaking. I worked at St. Luke's Cornwall Hospital for over 12 years, okay? It's a small residential hospital that cannot handle huge influxes. We had the New Windsor fire about 5 years ago, and they brought all of the people there. And we had a very hard time in the ER trying to triage and basically deal with everybody. If anybody watches ER, you know what I mean, it was insane. So if there was an issue, and we have the added problem here of having to go all the way up and over 9W with a very limited number of ambulances and emergency personnel. Have you done any kind of studies whatsoever or feasibility as to the location of if people did get hurt and there was some kind of a fire? Because I know I worked there, and it's a small hospital.
Not to mention the fact that right now with all the construction that's going on
Oh,
9W
forget it.
to one lane, there is almost daily blockages on 9W
So,
northbound.
so before you comment, we haven't done those studies yet because we're just not even, we're not even in that, there's no formal proposal before the board to even consider. So my primary goal, and I think the board's primary goal, was just to get some general feedback from the public first. The primary reservation that folks had from the first site was, again, the residents primarily in that area came out and voiced their opinion because it was on a personal property. And so we wanted to at least look at this site because it's municipal property, but we wanted to hear from the public. So I think, you know, we're not spending $1 and they're not going to spend $1 other than what they have spent in resources to come down here several times, which is part of their deal and it's part of our work to go through this. But we haven't done anything yet to even, but obviously all those environmental impacts, that would also address that. For, yeah.
I have
Sure.
serious concerns about
Sure.
that. Like I said, I worked there for 12 years.
It's good stuff. Thank you.
Can I just say one other thing? There's an awful lot of people, I know you want public feedback, but there's an awful lot of people that don't know that this discussion is even being had.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't, she didn't know.
Right.
until I called her. My neighbor next door didn't know that happened to her yesterday. So a lot of people that live in our neighborhood within my 900 steps, 0.4 of a mile down the road, don't have any idea that this discussion is even happening. And I'm not sure how in this community we get people engaged and get information out. It's not social media, a small, like, I don't know, everybody doesn't read the little newspaper.
Right.
So how do you get information to them?
So we try to do it a couple different ways. We try social media, we try the website, we try the newspaper. We could try to do better, but again, if we had an official proposal, I think I would probably, and I think the board would probably insist that we did a mailer, at least to the Mountain Avenue residents, or those folks who are closest to it, maybe Eagle Valley, that area. But again, if we had something formal, there would be a whole slew of other meetings, they'd have to go through planning, they'd have to go through this. There'd be so many different ways that there'd be so many.
Just so that
Absolutely.
it's not just those neighborhoods either, because the
Sure.
entire village will be impacted if indeed that one little 100
Sure.
year event happens again and
Right.
impacts something like that.
Okay.
The entire village will be affected. People need to-
Valid point. All right, anybody from the board?
One
Sure,
question.
go right ahead.
Just one question. You know, we're talking about taxing the grid, and that's why this is actually being pushed. What is the probability that if this wasn't approved down the line, that it would be overridden on a state and federal level, and we'd have to have it anyway?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that, do you?
Because there are a couple of sites where you did override and go to the state.
The question is if locally the project was rejected, could we appeal to the state to override
Correct.
the ruling? I mean, I think the short answer is yes. Would the state actually back up a private developer to take legal action against a municipality? No. And frankly, we don't necessarily plan to do this. Like, I think we want to do this in partnership with the village. We would have to take private legal action. That's not a pathway that we're.
Well, not even you, some other developer. The probability of this.
Again, I think the probability that any other developer on a one project basis would get the support of the state of New York to take action against the municipality is nearly zero.
Thank you.
I just, we have a quick executive session.
I had a couple
Whoa,
questions.
Sure.
Sorry.
All right.
I had a couple questions. I've done some reading myself, and apparently there's a difference between lithium-ion batteries and lithium iron phosphate batteries. Could you explain the difference between the two and whether one is actually better than the other, And if the lesser evil essentially is, doable.
Yeah, the lithium-ion batteries,
Right.
they are the parent, and then there's subdivisions underneath them. Lithium-ion phosphate, lithium-ion nickel, magnesium, cobalt, lithium titanium oxide, and the list goes on and on. The one that they're using today in the battery energy storage systems primarily, not everyone, but the ones they're using today is lithium-ion phosphate because of their resiliency to reduce the risk of a fire event.
Okay. And it was also suggested that sometimes these sites are actually fully enclosed in a concrete building. Is that how feasible, and I mean, is that real? Is that something that's doable? Does that solve some of the problems of the idea of contaminating the area?
The code does have what they call dedicated use buildings. That is in the code. But there needs to be a lot of scrutiny with the engineering on that. It's a very broad language in the code that you can do that. But now you get into engineering, which you have to have the right engineering firm know what they're doing when they're putting them into a dedicated use building. That's what Morse Landing was. Morse Landing was a dedicated use building.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's comments tonight. Thank you all for coming.
I just had a couple quick notes. I have a question. No, this is important because there's a planning board meeting this week, and there's a ZBA meeting, so there's some things on the agenda that some of the people may wish to be there for. You can go on the consolidated website and see what's on there and see if it concerns you. Everything concerns us all. But if you want to go there and find out what's transpiring in the village or the town, Eric and Mr. Janarone run great meetings. One other quick thing, I just wanted to let everybody know about Get Outdoors Get Together Day. It's June 13th. I spoke about it at the last meeting. We're going to have the fishing derby in the morning, and the town is going to have their outdoor day as well in the afternoon. So if anybody has any questions, remember it's on the 13th. All children, doesn't matter if you live here, if you're visiting, doesn't matter where you come from, they're all welcome. We'll have breakfast for them. We'll have a little lunch at the end, and we'll give away prizes. Also, there are other events, if you go on the DEC website, about events at Black Hill and other locations in the general area. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you.
And I recommend you visit the village website for all the meeting dates for planning and zoning. I think, Jason, you have one more thing?
No, I'm sorry, yeah, I just wanted to ask one thing, I know you plan on selling this off after you build a facility, and it'll be the financial, I guess, risk or accountability if anything happens, the new owner takes responsibility, right? If anything does, let's say the work happens,
Yeah.
and it falls. Now, what happens if the worst thing happens and that new company happens to delay whatever up to courts, or they go through bankruptcy? Who incurs
While they own the property?
while they own the property and they go through bankruptcy, and, or let's say, you know how legal things are with
Yeah.
big companies, they can lengthen the time.
Yep.
And it becomes an incurred cost for the town, if anything, for any delays.
I mean, that's a legal
Well-
question, I mean,
I mean, there are a lot of questions about that transition.
right,
That, we have to think about.
But that
right.
is a risk, right?
Sure.
But generally, what happens is a bond, or I would require, frankly, a letter of credit. And that would be part of any kind of agreement, so that money would be there and available, no matter what happened.
And what would be the amount of that bond?
Well, that would be something I think the engineers would work out.
Yeah.
And that's typical of any project,
Right.
anywhere. The
So-
engineers decide what the bond amount should be to protect the village or the town.
And I know, Mayor, you said it, that you haven't gotten into any scenario, but if in the small chance and percentage that this moves forward, I implore before you guys do that, you run a full risk scenario of what is the worst and what is the cost. And I mean, just like risk and mitigations, right? You take any projects and you look at it and you foresee what is the cost. The end result has not just the company that's incurring the accountability, but if that company does go bankrupt or it just ceases to say, hey, just take whatever is on and that's it, it's still our town. So now that tax liability and that hardship falls to us. So if you look at that, there's no real benefits for 2.5 million as to the worst scenario in the world that can happen, just like the 1,000-year-old story.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. And I just want to say this real quick, because we do have a quick executive session to go into. Nothing will, when we come out of executive session, we're not taking any, motions or anything other than to adjourn. So, put your mind at ease on that. I again appreciate, and I said it a few times tonight, I'm glad we've had these meetings. I know some people, think it's stupid, dumb. I've seen comments online, I've heard comments here. There's some things that maybe we're not thinking about, and even our professionals might not be thinking about, and we hear it from the public. So I appreciate it. I heard some great things tonight, and I really appreciate it. I, for one, I know it's late. I appreciate you guys coming tonight and going through this process. For me, this is the process. I need to hear from the public. And, just listening to my inner circle or the trustees listening to their inner circles, even if I don't get along necessarily with the folks, I still want to hear it because maybe there's something I'm not thinking about. So I appreciate you guys coming here tonight. If anything happens, we'll get more word out. We'll do better getting more word out. I'll knock on your door if that helps maybe a little bit. I'm going to go to 88. What are you, 120? Okay, I got them written down. So I'll be by. Gray House, Yellow Door. Okay, so rest assured on that, you will be notified for sure. Okay.
Stairs in the back.
Okay, stairs in the back. Okay. I appreciate you coming down. And I've been at these meetings for a while, and I've never seen you folks come in. So I'm actually glad I got you down here, even though we're here till 9:30. So I apologize. But
They got us down.
okay. Good. So I just need a motion to go into an executive session for contractual. Motion by Trustee Gargiulo, is there a second?
Second?
Second by Trustee Olivia. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Can you call?